What's going on, sports fans? We call this one Single Sport Monday. There is no NBA today. That has not happened. Well, we had the All-Star break. Okay, there was a few days there with no NBA, but it's all about baseball right now. The playoffs, we got these playing games this week, but I'm not seeing anything scheduled, so I don't even exactly know when they start. So we might have like 7 to 10 days off of NBA DFS slates.
The playing games are best of ones. I'm pretty sure, correct?
I honestly I've been meaning to look up that NBA exactly how the playing games work. And I'll be honest, I don't 100%
Well,
understand.
all right. The seven, I was looking this up too, like briefly before we met. So the 7 and 8 play, the
Yep.
winner of that is the 7 seed.
Okay.
Okay. The 9 and 10 seed play. The winner of that plays the loser of the 7-8 game, and the winner of that game is the 8 seed.
Okay. I'm not sure I like that, but hey, it is what it is. It's the rules we got.
I don't love it either. It reminds me of starting the runner on second in extra innings, but
which I love.
Same. I like that too because it makes the game go a lot quicker. It is a little bit gimmicky. I do think maybe this is the type of thing that we'll like a lot more once it's the norm, right?
For sure. Maybe going back to the runner on second for extra innings. I know it's gimmicky, but extra innings baseball has gone from turn it off and go to bed to appointment television. It's now, to me, one of the most exciting things in regular season sports. If your team is involved in one of those, I can't turn that shit off and walk away at all. If it was let's say the Brewers are playing in Colorado or something like that, and I'm tired, extra innings, I'm done. I'm out. But now it's no way am I going to bed.
For sure. I'm with you.
So it's fun. Baseball needs that. As a dying sport a little bit, you got to add some excitement for the younger generation that doesn't have a lot of attention span. Some of these old white person rules, no offense, old white people, I'm one of you. But well, this is just the way we've always done it. It's stupid. We have new things. Let's make the sport better. And while I can get in the playoffs, if you want to go back to the old school ways, especially, I think it's fun.
I think it's fun too. In the playoffs, though, I mean, I don't think extra inning playoff games, even with the old ways, are exciting because they matter a lot. Regular season, they don't matter. It's 1 out of 162, and you could play 21 innings. If you get a 20-inning game in the playoff baseball, that's draining. But each pitch is exciting. That said, the other problem that we don't even mention because it does nothing to do with fantasy or anything, when you play those 20-inning games, your bullpens and all your pitchers are taxed, which really messes up the rest of the series. So, this cuts that out too.
Agreed. That's why I like it. It's fun for me too. And I love baseball, and I think a lot of the traditions should stay the same, but I do think there are things that we can make better, and it's just for me. I know this is a little bit of a rant early, but we got a little extra time today because there's no basketball to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. So good day to talk about our boys over at Drafters. Promo code's DFS 5-pack. We will keep running these things, man. We'll keep playing with our friends over here. We'd love for you guys to be one of them. And if anybody listening to this ever wants to come on video and draft with us, all you need is a Skype membership. We'll three-way this bad boy and bring you on. We can talk about it. Maybe if you want to get a couple of sample drafts out of the way so you feel more comfortable. I would love if we could bring on a new guest every day and do these drafter videos, but we need a couple more of you guys to want to do that. Plus the website's a blast. We got NBA playoffs coming up. Football will be here before you know it. They're running football drafts all the time. The name of the website is Drafters, and they are the best kept secret in the DFS industry.
Yeah, can't wait to get one hopefully in a couple hours here with you.
All right, guys. Monthly and weekly memberships get both sports. We're going to rock these NBA playoffs. I know you're right in the mix of MLB GPP season. Really, really exciting stuff. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Let's talk about starting pitching today. Broke this one down for quite a while in members only today, and there's a lot of good options for you from a pitching perspective. I know you were big on Kyle Hendricks yesterday against these Detroit Tigers, and he was very, very good. Today you get Kikuchi, a little bit more expensive than Hendricks was, but still really, really affordable. Kikuchi's coming off, collection of three of his better starts he's ever put together back to back to back at this level. And I don't know if you know this or not. I know you watch a lot of baseball, but you might be unaware of this. The Tigers are bad. They're really bad.
They're real bad. I mean, they're especially bad against left-handed pitching, probably the dream spot. Not saying that it's a lot Kikuchi pitches well because he's not an ace-type pitcher, but he is better than his reputation. When he first came to the major leagues, he struggled a lot. Since then, he's been a lot better. Priced very affordably here in the dream spot against the Tigers. He's faced murderers row. The Dodgers, Houston twice, Twins, bunch of really tough matchups. Again, now in a really good spot at home against the Tigers team that's traveling east to west. I like Kikuchi probably more than I should here. I think he's great in all formats.
This is one of those days where I would not have been surprised at all to meet you up for members only to hear you tell me you like the Tigers today.
Sure.
It's always hard to like the Tigers because, well, quite frankly, they're the Tigers. But Kikuchi's going to get love today. He's going to be one of the 3 more popular pitchers on this one. And it all lines up to make sense. Now, baseball's a weird sport. There's no guarantee he's good. But the cap savings is legit off the top tier guys. He's been really, really good recently. It's not been a lack of stuff for him. And I can't say it enough. The Tigers are all types of terrible.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's definitely not the safest play in the world. But if he pitches, if he pitches well tonight, I mean, I think he's in a great spot to get 20 plus.
It all makes sense for him to pitch well today. And all you can do is evaluate, athletes based on what's logical. Now, you can have your gut feelings. We all have them. And your gut feelings seem to be telling you that he continues to pitch well today. I tend to agree with you. I could see him getting blown up. But if I'm betting on Kikuchi or the Detroit Tigers offense, that's an easy bet for me. Give me Kikuchi.
My problem with the Tigers bats is the same it always is when they go against these chalk pitchers. They don't hit enough home runs, even if they get to the pitcher. So, yeah, if you want to use, a scope against the chalky Kikuchi, yeah, Grossman, I get it. But, they just don't hit home runs. And in DFS, you need homers.
I mean, I feel like Grossman's the only Tiger I've rostered all year long anyway, so I'm not trying to get to them almost ever.
For sure.
All right, so let's move over to a couple of plays. And I got Nelson Cruz as a cash lock for me today, although I do think he's a guy that's good for all formats.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is he's got the upside for GPPs. He also doesn't appear to be overwhelming chalk to the point that, he's going to be 50% owned. I would expect him to be in the 25% range today, would just be my prediction early in the day. He's below 5K, which, again, it's not like he's way below 5K. He's legitimately the one number below 5K that you can get on DK. But he is below, so it's a little cheaper than you kind of would think he'd be like 5,400 here.
At least, right? I could see him being 5,700, 5,800 sometimes in this spot against a lefty that he's owned. Yeah, I'm with you. I love your point. He's a great play in all formats because he's got massive upside in tournaments. He's not so heavily owned that you kind of just want to get away from any hitter that's that chalky. But in Caskins, he's getting enough ownership where I think you want to play him at his upside. I like him in all formats a lot. One of my favorite hitters on the slate for sure.
Yeah, and he's just owned Dallas Keuchel. And I know the BVP is a controversial stat because some people don't think it matters. It does. But you got to pick your spots with it. If you look through every hitter on the docket today, it only applies to a couple hitters. And Nelson Cruz is one of them. He's faced Dallas Keuchel 60 times or something in his career. That's enough of a sample size to take something out of. And then throw in the point that Keuchel is a lefty, and Cruz has been mashing the lefty since the Eisenhower administration.
Yeah, I mean, BVP is just like anything else, right? It doesn't matter probably as much as some want to make it, and it doesn't matter as little as others want to make it. It's like anything else. You got to really pick your spots. So I'm with you. I like Cruz a lot here.
Yeah, pick your spots. It legitimately only applies to a few people each day, and some days nobody. If a guy's 3 for 8, you're like, oh, he's got a 375 batting average. Cool. Maybe he got robbed 3 times, and it's actually, a 75% batting average. Or maybe he has 3 weak singles. He just got lucky and it means nothing. You got to have a sample size. Until you start talking minimum double-digit at-bats, I don't care at all about it. If I see a guy's 0 for 10 with 9 strikeouts, though, not interested at all. It's going to talk me out of a guy.
For sure.
All right, next up, we're going to go way off the radar here and talk about a guy most of y'all haven't heard of, this Fish guy. What is his name, Mike Trout?
Yeah, so I like the Angels quite a bit here. Not getting as much love as other teams. Trout, we broke it down on the members-only video. Big-time buying signs recently. Had been in an 0 for 15 funk. Got a hit yesterday. Has walked 5 times in his past couple games. I mean, this guy's as good as anyone. It's got the highest upside of probably anyone in the game, or right up there. Maybe not quite as high of upside with his lack of stolen bases, but he's right up there, man. You feel as good with him as you do anyone else to give you a nice game. I like him a ton here, and I'm just not sure how much love he gets.
I don't think he gets much because you have other really good outfielders like Nelson Cruz that we just brought up, like Aaron Judge, and there's a couple other guys in there. There's going to be some cheap outfielders who take up a bunch of the ownership. I expect Trout to be no more than 10% of it.
He's coming in at 9% home. So, yeah, give me that all day, twice on Sundays.
So, he's still the best player in baseball. Probably outside of Barry Bonds, the best hitter I've ever seen.
Same.
And he's coming in with very, very low ownership, and he showed some buying signs. Another thing that we broke down with Mike Trout. Now, we've seen, I don't know how long he's been in baseball now, 8 years or something like that. We've seen Trout for a while now. He never goes into extended slumps. He never has one of these months where he's just terrible. Yeah, he might be off for a few games in a row, but the buying signs are there. He's a great call for a home run tonight.
Yeah, I like him a ton. And man, I was going to say, I remember his only video. I think he's the best hitter I've ever seen besides, Bonds, like you mentioned, even above those other guys, Pujols, Cabrera.
Griffey. I'm with you.
Guys.
He is better than those guys. And I think the sample size is now long enough with him that you can say that. The flip side of that argument is Albert Pujols was every bit as good as him for Pujols' prime. Pujols just fell off so hard. You know what I mean? Like later in his career. But like his first 8 years were amazing. MVPs every season.
I will say, like, you also got to give Trout credit, though, that he plays center field.
And runs.
And runs. Like, he's not the best center fielder anymore, but he was for a while.
Yeah. Pujols was bounced around. Like, you can make arguments for him that he was able to switch positions from third, outfield, and first, and that's great. But also means you probably weren't the greatest at any of those if they kept moving you around.
For sure.
All right, so let's move over to another cash game play, but also a guy that I'm more than fine with in GPPs. Very similar to Nelson Cruz. It appears to be getting enough ownership love today that you can play him in any kind of format, but not so much that it's overwhelming. The flip side of it is that, like, who cares, though? He's 2,800. You're not playing a guy like Dylan Moore right here because it's gonna be low and you're high on. You're playing him for cap space. That's all it really comes down to. He can hit home runs. He's got 5 already this year. He can steal bases. He got a handful of those already this year. 5+ DK points in 8 and 9. Only 2,800. Solid matchup with Mize, who, to his credit, got about 4 solid starts this year. Also got destroyed in his other 2 starts. So there's a reason Seattle bats will be relatively popular today. One being their price tag, 2 because Mize is not one of the stronger pitchers on the slate. So this works for me in any format. Not a must. I don't expect him to ruin the slate. But he's got multiple ways that he contribute to getting you DK points.
Yeah, we talked about it. Seattle will probably get a little too much love, but that doesn't mean they're not a really good play on paper tonight. Moore, so cheap, 2,800. A lot of their guys are cheap, but you like Moore because he runs. He's got some power upside. Hitting, kind of in the middle to bottom of the order will limit his ownership a little bit. And yeah, he's a rock solid cog type in all formats.
Yeah, another reason he gets some love is because you can play him at 2 different places, right? Like that always helps you get more buyers when there's multiple places I can use you. I know like an issue you always have is liking an outfielder, but when there's 98 to choose from, it's hard to just, even though you got 3 spots for him, you're still leaving out like a dozen guys.
Like guys can be good plays, but like you can't play a guy that might be a better play is the problem I run into a lot with outfielders. So yeah, it helps a lot. Second base is usually much weaker.
Moving down the list, speaking of outfielders, Ian Happ blew up yesterday. Going to be very, very low owned. Again, Ian Happ, still a little bit of a disappointment at the major league level, right? They were expecting better things out of him. Hasn't played consistently, but what he does own is the ability to give you big DK points. He's got power, a lot better power than that 3 home runs will tell you, and he has the ability to steal bases.
Yeah, might see him at the top of the lineup today. We'll see how that plays out.
I'm feeling that. I do think there's a good chance of that today.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling it too. So, they switch things around a lot there. I mean, their normal guys will be towards the top: Contreras, Bryant, Baez, Rizzo. Yeah, I think you might see Happ, leading off tonight. If not, if he's leading off, he'll be high owned at 3,400. If he's at the bottom of the order, he'll be, much lower owned. I like him either way. Got going yesterday. Seeing the ball really well. Very cheap piece of a Cubs stack I like a lot. I think the Cubs come in under-owned as a full stack. And Happ is just one of those pieces that for 3,400, he's got a lot of upside. And with cheap outfielders, we talked about the Seattle guys and other cheap guys all over the board. Maybe that does limit his ownership, even if he's leading off.
I think that's a great point for how to evaluate Ian Happ today is because it's an earlier game, you're going to get the lineup in plenty of time to know this. Coming off what he did yesterday, 3,400, if he is at the top of the order, which he could be, or he could be back in the bottom. We don't really know. But his ownership will take a major discrepancy turn one way or the other, depending on where he's batting.
So, sometimes I feel like he could be leading off today, but sometimes why mess with a good thing? He was really good yesterday in the 9 hole. So I don't know. I could see it both ways.
Dude, I could legit see him batting in any position in this lineup today. Like anywhere, you name it. Probably not the 3-hole. You know what I mean? Unless like all of a sudden Bryant's not in there today or something like that, and they're not, whatever it might be. But
he's not going to hit 3 or clean up.
But outside of that, anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Do you know what's guaranteed right now, though?
He's going to hit 3 or clean up?
Yeah, he's going to hit 3 or 4.
Yeah, right?
After he got done saying he won't be in either of those spots, it is like legit guaranteed he'll be in the 3 or the 4 hole today.
He won't be. I mean, they got power against lefties. I mean, listen, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, and Contreras are going to be in the middle of that lineup. Whether Happ is above those guys or right behind them, not sure. But I doubt he's in the middle of those guys. He could be, but I doubt it.
So, I mean, just as the Cubs as a whole, just to kind of piggyback on this conversation, like they're a team that's not going to get a lot of love today because there's a couple of pretty good spots on paper that are just going to get more of the attention from the masses. And that brings us to the next question. Who is Jon Lester? Well, I don't know. There's a bunch of aging lefties, as you so eloquently put it on the members only video. I don't know who Jon Lester is. He's pitched 3 times this year. It's been okay, right? Like the whip shows that there should be some ERA regression because I think his ERA is like 2.2. It's a small sample size. We've seen Jon Lester over the past decade go back and forth from, borderline Cy Young candidate to guy you think is dusted, and then back again 3 or 4 times all in the same season. So I don't know who he is, but he's pitched well enough this year that most people probably don't want to go up against him.
Amen to all that.
So I don't have a good answer for you. This slate is filled with aging lefties we don't have great answers on.
Yeah, it's a fun one to break down for sure.
So just breaking down, like if you had let's just say my Brewers are a 500 baseball team right now. And if you're trying to pick a team, if you're trying to make your team better right now, and I could say you could have any one of the aging lefties, who would be your favorite from a real life perspective? Who would be your least favorite?
I mean, it's got to be Bumgarner right now. Like he's got the best track record of all of them easily. He's pitching the best of all of them now. I mean, how could it not be Bumgarner?
I agree.
Choice?
Yeah,
as
no arguments here.
I mean, really, like it's a distant second. I think all the rest of them are about the same. Lester, Keuchel. And any given day, I'm not sure, but I think Bumgarner is definitely the number one. Not saying I trust it to continue, but I mean, yeah. He's better than those other guys. And then as far as their careers go, I mean, Happ is definitely behind Keuchel and Lester.
Careers, Lester's got to be 2, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then Keuchel, though, with Cy Young.
Yeah, he had the Cy Young. I do think if you take out the Cy Young season, though, then Happ and Keuchel might actually be flip-flopped or be really, really close. But that Cy Young gives you enough points that there's no way I think he can be bypassed by anybody else. Happ is another guy who's, we've seen go back and forth again between really, really good and a guy that you almost felt like you wanted to stack against.
Yeah, for sure, all the way around there.
So, yeah, fun to talk about this stuff. How long has Jon Lester been in the majors now? He's got to be at least 140.
Yeah, he has got to be up there for sure.
I mean, him dominating in the postseason for Boston legit feels like decades ago.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. He got traded for Yoenis Cespedes.
Cespedes, the human Cespedes. I wonder what happened to him.
I know.
Do you know if he's still around anywhere? Is he ever going to play again, or what happened this time?
I don't know. I know he broke both his ankles or whatever in that incident. I think it was last year, but I'm not sure if he's still hanging on.
Yeah, it's hard to recover from stuff like that too if you're trying to be an elite athlete at the highest level.
For sure, I would imagine so.
Yeah, I've never been an elite athlete at the highest level, so I can't speak from experience. I'm just assuming that doesn't help.
Me too.
All right, guys, click that thumbs up button if you're still listening to us talk about baseball. Have a great Monday. See you in a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.